Good morning, all of you. And it's an honor and privilege that today we are having a very unique opportunity to understand that IIBA ecosystem. Thereby, how do you simplify your career choice, and what are all the opportunities available when you are connecting with the IIBA ecosystem? And I welcome Jared. And Jared, can you move the next slide, Jared? Or yeah. And I also know, first and foremost thing is that honest submission. I mean, many may not know Jared, or few of you know the Jared. I want to introduce Jared. Loves being a business analyst and has done so in title for over 15 years, with over 25 years of business and leadership experience in both retail and energy sector. He is a strong advocate for IIBA, having served in various volunteering capacities as a volunteer and a board leader in Calgary IIBA chapter, as well as chairing the volunteer chapter network. He brings his passion for business analysis and experience as a chapter leader to the role of director of chapters and membership engagement and IIBA. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in French from University of Calgary and certified business analyst to professional designation. He will take any chance possible to evangelize business analysis and will talk your ear off about the role and profession should you allow him to do so. And above all, Jared is my boss, and but of course, he never gave me that experience. He always gave me a kind of a buddy experience with me. That's what you are seeing, in that, we both took the photograph in front of the Taj Mahal. That's what my personal experience. Always I get, 5x energy whenever I am talking to him, I'm meeting him. I hope you will get today the same thing. And for many of you who don't know about me, I'm Swaminathan Balakrishnan. And I am a IIB India chapter advisor. I help all the chapters to build momentum and a community of practice across all chapters. And we also build consistent professional development activities so that it will add value to your career, and also it will also help further to simplify your career choice by connecting with that ecosystem. Okay. I just want to know anyone who has entered first. So I wanted to launch a poll. Just we introduced ourselves, but I want you to understand how you introduce yourself. I'm just launching a poll, and I'll give few minutes. And I want you to complete, it's just 3 to 5 questions, or I think 7 questions it looks like. Manoj.
This is a great poll, Swami. I think it's awesome. Multiple questions. Wow. And Swami, there's 7 questions. Is that correct?
No, it is 6 only. And I was about to complete that, and I could not complete that questions, the 6 and 7. So only 5 questions you take it up. And in case you wanted to put that, sixth question, it is yes, first is yes, or second one is no. Choice one is yes, and choice two is no.
So there's a couple of trick questions then, because I think
Yes, yes.
question 3 is untitled question.
Yeah. Only 5 questions actually. Because it's a trial and I'm ending the poll and I'll. Okay, next things. I will go to the next slide, Sharon. Yeah. So, I just want to ask each one of you that, everyone, we use the word mindset. What is this mindset in a simple terms? Generally, when I feel mindset, it is way of thinking and way of, doing my actions, or way of the way I'm acting, the way I'm communicating is the mindset for me. See, for example, I say that I have a growth mindset. And then I just keep on failing in every opportunities which I'm getting it. So if I see, I have two options in front of my. So if I have negative or what, I think this is enough and I'll stop it. That is something that, is not a growth mindset. So the growth mindset is something I really feel like that, the way I communicate, the way I think first within my mind, one day I'll definitely succeed. And then the way I communicate, so consider that my family says that, what happened, you got into a loss. Consider that I lose huge money. And I say, why you got a loss? Okay, it's okay. It's not a loss. It's an investment for me. I learned a lesson. Like that, I will put into that. And also, my actions never go into, I'll not just, get stuck and do nothing, but I'll try some more opportunity, but I learn lesson from that and move forward. This is what growth mindset is. Like that, here, because that mindset is a word, it is used to many ways for many people. Actually, people look at it, they call it as, when I say mindset, then it is a very loosely used word. It is, mindset is more about how you think and how you take actions, how you communicate within yourself and others. This is what making mindset. So when it comes to that IIBA, they call it as agile mindset. Agile is nothing but it's a very simple, probably you might have heard, Dalvin's session, few of you during the conference, agile and nimble, because the world, world is growing highly, very complex and complicated world. Unless otherwise, you don't keep your character competencies, and also your connections in a very simple and straightforward way, it is not possible. And even the way you communicate or the way you understand, unless otherwise you don't understand well, you cannot communicate. So when it comes to that, there are 7 principles Agile speak about it. First and foremost, things, know the big picture. That is what, see the whole, it speaks about it. And just before understanding your role or your responsibility or your practice, consider that, in a big area where you are getting in as a team member, or even if you're a leader or a follower, wherever you are, you understand the big picture. Then comes to that customer centricity. So what audience require, what the people require, that, for example, today, what you are looking at is that how can I simplify my career choice? Because if I come and start helping you to have 100 options, and I can, slowly have a conversation with you and limit it to 10 options, and then I'll make you to 3 options and leave you a space to take a decision within these 3 options. I'm really helping, and I am completely a kind of beneficiary centric or a customer centricity. This is what is going to be. It is more of filtering the options and then giving the recommendations to the customer, so that, and when the customer, it is more about empathy, how the customer look into the problem, and how, even customer centricity means not only, customer, whatever he is asking for, what is his way of pattern, it is beyond that. Actually understanding his exact need, and then creating a conversation with him that, make him to understand the problem statement. This is what we do as a business analysis. Then the third one is value lens. Value lens, we speak about, what is, and how do we determine the value of, because end of the day, it is delivering value. Makes sense. When you say delivering value, then what we need to understand before delivering the value, we have to understand the value proposition. So if you understand the value proposition, like which once again connected to the customer centricity, this is what in a very simple way, if you look at from the what value it gives to the customer, what value it gives to the IIBA, I mean the member as well as an IIBA. And if I look at it, I think definitely, and also my other stakeholders, I mean, who has the skin in the game. If I look at it, then prioritize what is doable. It's not that we can boil the ocean. It's more about, you take your bucket of water from there, you make your drop, and what it can be done next half an hour or 1 hour, it makes a lot of sense for the customer. It makes a lot of sense. I cannot just, if I put few messages in a way that will help you to take an option, and then I take one action that makes sense and deliver value, that this is what prioritization. When we speak about prioritization, definitely time management is also equally important. And then procrastination is the part of our skin. As a human being, everything we procrastinate. Why? Because of fear of failure. And we procrastinate. And that is where the prioritization is most important, and it should be part of your practice. This is what, then real life example. Whenever you want to get into the depth of an understanding, always we understand through examples. And if I say something that, this is the way you grow your career, in a very specific conversation, and you ask me back a question, give me an example, that makes a lot of sense, like, so that you can relate better. Once you relate better, you get into action. And just, you are not alone. You should have a collaborative, you should have your team into, and then continuous improvement, and then slowly, course correction. It's not that, you will get into, we strive for perfection, we strive for excellence. Excellence has got, there are some mistakes and failures are there, and each mistakes, the moment it comes to our notice, we start getting into a kind of, correction and continuous improvement. That is the reason we come into version 1, 2. See, today we are all, I'm version 3.0, and you may be version 2.0. So we will versionize ourselves that way, and then the customer also, the way the relationship, version 1.0 maybe that each other, and then version 2.0 probably you do some transaction, within the transaction you got a credibility, and version 3.0 is it has become a routine in your thing that slowly you will start improving, and you get the standard, and standard come into the picture after some time. We have a standards of practice, whether it is acceptable for all, but there is a standard, and in that standard design or define our routines or our daily habits. This is one. Then last and final one, avoid waste. And can you be aware that wherever there is a waste, can you just get into and you can avoid that? These consciousness will help you to grow your career. And how do you grow your career? Definitely you can differentiate in front of the crowd as the group of employee, you will be different when you are different. And definitely that, the simple way, this is what agile analysis, that, agile mindset, it speaks about it. And Jared, you want to have add something here, Jared, and is there anything you want to?
It's interesting, Swami. We talk about the agile mindset, and it is extremely important, right? That idea to pivot, to learn, and to adjust, whatever. I actually think from here, a lot of these also belong to the business analysis mindset, right? The big picture, the customer centricity, the value. Because business analysis is all about defining needs, recommending solutions that provide value. All of this speaks to that, right? It's a new, I wouldn't say new, but it's a method to attain that value, if you will. There's a question in the chat I think we need to answer. How to change the mindset of the stakeholder who's currently using a waterfall model and wants to use a waterfall model for requirements gathering, and how to change that so that it will give more value and more benefits. And so I'll let you answer that as well, but it's interesting. More and more what we're finding is that there is a the methodology wars, if you will, are going away. It's no longer agile versus waterfall. Agile is a methodology that is great in certain circumstances. Waterfall is a methodology that's useful in certain circumstances. It's if you think about it, one is a screw and one's a nail. One you need a hammer and the other one you need a screwdriver. So depending on the situation, you're going to use different. The agile mindset or the business analysis mindset, as I was just referring, I think is really, really important that we look to provide value. And in some cases, it's going to be an agile methodology, which is going to give us that quick win, if you will, the value quicker. But for instance, if I'm implementing an ERP system, I probably don't want to do an agile methodology. If I'm building a boat, or a building, I probably don't want to do it agile. I probably want to use waterfall. So there are cases when you want to use an agile methodology, and there's other cases when you want to use a waterfall methodology. Neither one is bad. It's fit for purpose. Swami, I'll let you answer the same question.
Yeah, thank you. And then this, when we speak about mindset, just I want to sense that, we are talking about us. Actually, it is, whenever you call it as methodology. And I mean, the methodology is, we are talking about the delivering a project or a process. I mean, here, the thing we need to understand is it is more about us, because the moment you say methodology, we are getting into a kind of a limitations of framework. But, that is the reason that, we are getting it an hybrid model, because the context is important. And only a business analyst mindset can understand the context. And that is the reason the core concept model becomes very important and the foundation for our things. So please don't compare that, we are not talking about delivering a project. We are talking about as a person, how do we think, do our daily action and communications. I hope, I mean, there's a voice, we are not at all talking about the delivering the project. We are only talking about how do we build our mindset. I mean, it is all about us. It is not about delivering a project. The moment that the project, I mean, we have the right mindset, a kind of, positive mindset in which we are going to approach that delivery. It doesn't matter what methodology we are going to follow. It all matters what kind of output or outcome we are going to give. That's what's important. And thank you. And Jared, then comes to that why standard is important and why IBA look into BA standard as a kind of thing. I mean, next this thing, next slide, please. Yeah, this is where we are really, why it is important. The business analysis standard, what you need to know is it's a kind of, it recently, I mean, IBA also seriously looking into how do we become more contextual for the community as well as the practice. So what we thought is that, we build a simple, probably you can download this book if you're a member, that 55 pages book, it is available, which is, we really, one and most important part of it is, as all of you know, that this business analysis body of knowledge has been held, more than 1,000+ volunteers. They share their best practices, and version by version, we move to the 3.0 version business analysis body of knowledge. Over a period of time, the best practices has been put into in order so that it is useful for your daily practice. Here, when it comes to business analysis standard, we speak the same language. It is very important. Suppose consider I speak in Tamil and you speak in Mandarin, and doesn't make any difference. We are not going move because we are stuck, even I don't even understand what you are speaking. The standard establish a proper language so that understanding happens. Then it also helps us to have a professional development and recognition. Because when you speak the same language, I mean, when I say, then immediately the audience get connected. Then audience feel that I'm speaking to a person who understands the language and understand the subject knowledge. And thereby, he get into the depth of the conversation. And there is a clarity and consistency in our daily work. Consider that there is a standard of practice and you follow that standard of practice, that, somebody say that framework of BSAS should have been, I don't know, I will answer this question little later, that, I mean, definitely we'll take in a Q&A session, and because of the time limit, I mean, just give me a few minutes. Then comes to that business analysis standard. Always it is incorporate and define the best practices and guidelines. That way you will not be, we are today, we are not leaving, I mean, we are not, we don't have, we are living in a world where our pain is hyper information. Too much of information is the pain. It's not that lack of information. In the Google, ChatGPT, Google world, search world, it's not about. So there must be a clear idea that, what are all the best practices and guidelines, so that I can get into action and bring a kind of output and outcome to myself as a career aspired person, as well as the enterprise output and outcome. This is what is important, where the business analysis standard is helping. And another thing is the stakeholder alignment. Stakeholder alignment is that, when I speak about stakeholder alignment, the standard will help us to understand, consider there is a, a simple template, which is available for you to how you just get connected and derive the information or elicit information from the stakeholder on his needs and aspirations. That will helpful for you. The standard establish you. How the standard helps you, it will also give a little bit of tools and techniques. And with the usage of tools and techniques, you do a proper stakeholder analysis. When you do the stakeholder analysis, you know that how to get aligned with that. Then comes to staying up to date. When we speak about up to date, we are getting to the trends, whatever the current trends today, that, how, our challenge or opportunity will be that how this standard will align with the kind of, AI powered thing. How do, do we consider AI is our personal assistant, or or we consider that AI is our threat? In my opinion, AI is my personal assistant. I need not have my personal assistant now, because AI organized me internally. Like this, AI organized my personal, complete business analysis, my day-to-day work. This is the way that, how we aligned. So today, the day comes that, the whole standard will align to that, AI powered world. This is what I wanted to share a few cents about, then once you have a right mindset, next you will be looking in your career, irrespective of whatever you are looking at, you look it into the standard in which I operate daily. So daily operations or your daily work require a standard. This is what I want to add. And Jared, I'm just giving your, share your thoughts, Jared.
Well, there's a couple of things that I would add to what you said, Swami. I think first and foremost, it's important to realize that the standard originated from version 3 of the Babok guide, right? So basically what we did at IBA is we copied and pasted from version 3 of the Babok guide and created a new document, a new book, if you will, that was freely available to everyone, because you can't have a standard that's only available to certain people. So we wanted to make sure that it was in the public domain, so anyone can download it. I believe now you can purchase a bound copy if you want, but it's a subset of the information in the Babok guide. Going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to modify the standard, which will then take place and form our next iterations of our guides and whatnot. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. So it is a standard, it's a public standard, and it's available to anyone, to anyone.
Okay, even if I'm not a member, I can download it. Is it, Jared?
Certainly can. Yeah, and that's
great.
That's in our mind. How do you have a standard that is only served by a certain portion of the population? It's not a standard that it's a secret club that only certain people have access to. That's not a standard.
Well said, and it really provide the foundation for the, definitely it will provide the foundation for the practice. And I know that, how do I define my daily routine or my habit with understanding the standard and practicing of thereby what happens. See, definitely I can remove my clutter in my mind and I'll directly get into action, and that actions, the daily actions becomes a habit. So from that habit, automatically it becomes natural and automatic. If I go into a stakeholder alignment, I know what it takes to, and also I will do it. So I mean, mindset and standard. Then the next topic which we are going to cover is that, competencies and career actions. And Jared, it is over to you.
So
And
I'm just going to stay on this one more second. I know that people get excited because the standard is the basis for business analysis. It doesn't go into some of the detail. It doesn't go into some of the techniques, for instance, of business analysis. For that, you really do have to go to the Babak guide. But it's a very good starting point. It's the core of business analysis, if you will. And then the other one is our business analysis competency model, which shows the competencies of business analysis professionals, right? So it's that framework for defining the knowledge, the skills, the abilities, techniques, and the personal attributes of business analysis professionals. And it's interesting going through this and understanding where your skills are, where your competencies are, how you define where you sit in business analysis, and what you need to look at, and what you need to maybe practice and whatnot. It's a great model. Certainly recommend everyone do that. For this one, you do have to be a member to get to it. This is not publicly available, but from an IBA perspective, it will actually showcase the knowledge and skills and all of the stuff on the screen, actually, from a business analysis professional's perspective. Swami, do you want to add anything to that? Oh, you're on mute. Swami, you're on mute.
sorry, actually, thank you, Jared. And see, the competency model is, evolved over a period of time. It is version 4.0. Like, definitely if you want to simplify your career and you want to know where you are, your current state of where you are standing in terms of your competencies, this is the right way to assess yourself. And I recommend every one of you to assess your current competency level by having a very simple PDF. You can download it. If you're a member, you can download it and you can assess your knowledge, scalability techniques, as well as your personal attributes. It will give a holistic view of the current state of business analysis practice. That's what I wanted to add, Jared, and over to you.
Awesome. Well, the really neat thing, and if you were in at the conference in Bangalore, that was 2 months ago, you may have heard me talk about it, but the competency model is, that part of that 3-part framework that we use to develop and advance competency, right? And there's a number of different things that you need to do with the competency model, right? Understand what those competencies are, assess them, and then develop them, right? And then we actually have a kind of a process, I guess, right? Understand the model, that's first and foremost, and evaluate where you are with those competencies. And we'll go through that in just a second. And then come up with a plan as to how you're going to elevate your competencies. So the example I always use is when I first went through this a number of years ago, I realized that my vendor management skills were not as well, it was a gap, right? So what I did is I came up with a plan on how to increase those competencies, how to gain additional skills and whatnot. I ended up working with our vendor management team, which is why I had a huge gap in that skill, because there was another group that was completely in charge of that. I ended up working with them, having conversations with them, and understanding where they were coming from, so that I could at least understand that particular competency. Of course, planning is great, but if you don't do anything about it, it's just like a whisper in the wind, right? You've got to actually act. And then at the end of it, it's a call a peri cycle, right? So at the end of it, you have to review it. Am I still there? do I need to go back and loop it again? Because from an agile mindset, you're constantly iterating through the process. So when you go through those 5 steps and you do it on yourself, you can actually increase your competencies, increase your capabilities, if you will, in business analysis. It's a great tool that I highly recommend for everyone. There's a PDF version and there's an online version. The PDF version actually I like a little bit better because it will actually score. It's a form, basically. It's a PDF form. So you can see here, you go through each of the 6 knowledge areas from the Babok guide, and you say, okay, well, involved in measure solution performance, I require support from others to complete this work. So I chose E. When you go through all of the answers, it will actually score you. I didn't score myself. This was just an example. But in this case, because I only had a 5 in solution evaluation, I'm an entry level, or I would have been an entry level in that particular case. And that's okay. This will show you that, in this particular knowledge area, you may be weak, but in this particular knowledge area, you're very, very strong. So it can show where your gaps are. It can show where you need to work. And then, of course, once you know where you need to work and once you know where those gaps are, you can create a plan to overcome that. You can create a plan to fill those gaps and then act on it. And again, do that evaluation and repeat the cycle over and over again until you're a thought leader in all 6 of them. And even then, always, always, always look for new ways to learn. That's how you increase your skills, because no one ever does anything perfectly. Do you want to add to that, Swami?
Yeah, thank you, Jared. And I just want that, our participant, I just want to interact with the participant. And can we have a chat? What do you mean by competencies? I just want to read out some of your, I want to looking for an answer. When I say competencies, it means different thing for different people. What it means to you?
What is competency to you?
Bhakti say it is a core skill. That's best way to speak about in one word, or one or 2 words. Yeah, core skill. What else? What is competency? And how it is different from skill? Knowledge, skill, competencies we speak about. What is that? Capability to perform a task. Okay. Adopt in a situation. See knowledge, behaviors, characteristics, and personal quality. Okay. Ashok Nichani say, great Ashok. What else? Come on, guys. What is PDCA? Praveen, can you expand that PDCA? Okay. Plan, do, check, act. Okay. USP of a person. Wow. Wow. Okay. Learning a unique skill set. Okay. You want to read some of this, Jared?
So learning a unique skill set, proficiency and ability, do the task efficiently as per stakeholders' expectation. That's a interesting. Competency is what you believe you are best in doing. Even my ability to make a decision is a competency. It's interesting. I decided to look up the definition of what a competency really was because I could, and it's the ability to do something successfully or efficiently, whatever that particular task is, right? Challenge the status quo, absolutely. It's efficiency in doing a specific skill, of course. It's doing things quickly and doing them well is a competency.
Great. So, now, next question, he was flipping that, business in just now, Jared was talking about 3-part framework of business competency model. Can anyone remember that the 3 parts of the
3 parts of the competency model?
Yeah, framework. Just now anyone can remember?
And don't feel bad if you can, because I'm not sure that I can. But
yeah, understand, assess, and develop. Swati, great. Yes. Parameters of competitiveness, that's right. But, with the 3 parties, first you have to understand the competency. So when you say understanding the competency, I mean, before that, I mean, the career actions say first you start with the planning. And this is what, anything we start doing it as simple as, I mean, plan our career. We need, consider that career action. We have to, how do we plan that? I mean, this is what is very important area of it. See, the whole, the career action guide will help you to, understand not only your competencies, holistically how you simplify your career choice by just putting into that 5 parts of this career action guide. And then, how do you plan, act and review, understand and evaluate? These are all the 5 parts of it, but each has got a very depth of meaning. So when I ask for competency, I get different answer. It's not that, how you look at competency is very important. And also, it is also important to understand that do we have a shared and standard understanding of what this competency is all about? That is exactly that, IAB is trying to work on that. Suppose you, me and everyone believe the competency is nothing but, how do we, I mean, demonstrate my skill quickly so that there is a output and outcome like that. No, I'm just giving an example only, and I'm not giving the definition of it. So each one have a shared understanding of the competency that will help you that, I mean, Praveen, you want to take this question? No, Praveen, I mean, we'll definitely take every questions actually. Is it recommended to perform the competency model analysis for self and team on a yearly frequency basis? Jared?
So I'll take that. First, I actually recommend that if you take the use the career action guide or whatnot, I actually like to do it myself and not share the answers with everyone else. Because not that I'm afraid of anyone knowing my gaps and whatnot, but I really need to be honest in my assessment, because that's the biggest downfall here. Oh yeah, I know how to do that. I know how to do that. I know how to do that. If you lie on the assessment, you're going to get really bad results. You're going to overestimate your competencies, and you're not going to do that. So if it's internal, then for me it means, I'm only cheating myself if I lie, and I'm not going to get the advantage of it. On a yearly basis, I don't know if that's necessary. What I would recommend is you go through the self-assessment, and then you come up with a plan, and you review that plan every 6 months or whatnot. And after those 6 months, when you review it again, you're going to say, you know what, I need a new plan. So maybe at that point you go through and do the evaluation again. But there's no hard and fast rule. It's not 6 months or a year, or you must do it. This is all a self-assessment, a self tool, if you will, that you can do whatever you want. I wouldn't say, a set schedule is going to help you anymore. I actually think if you, again, do that plan and then review that plan periodically is your best opportunity. Swami, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, great. I know that's what I know. Actually, yes, it all depends upon, in what stages of career you are and how it is contextual. And I mean, you are the best, but the self-assessment, you start with the self-assessment. By the way, you also have that kind of an assessment things in the career action guide. It will help you to just to get that 5 components I'm speaking about. From there, according to your requirement, that if you think that it is early basis or off early basis or whatever it is, depending upon that, you can do it for yourself and as well as the team. Thank you for that. And can we go to, I hope that, this 3 part especially, we talk about simplify your career choice. And how do you simplify your career choice? And then comes the most important part of our conversation, and as well as my HL promotion, digital assistance. Actually, I put digital experience, then I change it to digital assistance. The purpose is that, I'm talking about experience, I'm speaking little different. It's an assistance which is going to be, and of course, I mean, many of you, I don't know how many of you are aware that, about this knowledge hub. And I requested Jared to brief that knowledge hub part of it. What you?
Well, the Knowledge Hub is all sorts of rich content, and it's actually being added to on a regular basis. And it's interesting, I'm using the Knowledge Hub more and more often. I'm using it more often than the BABUP guide or the Agile extension, because you can ask it questions, right? You can say, hey, I'm having problems with stakeholder analysis. I need templates or whatnot. Knowledge Hub doesn't have all the answers, but it can certainly point you in the right direction. It's an online tool available to IIBA members. It's not like the standard, so you have to be an IIBA member to access it. But it's just an amazing interactive tool that you can use to help you with business analysis.
Great. And I also wanted to add up here the digital assistant part of it, ChatGPT, because I was running through that, the whole conversation about an AI-enabled ecosystem. And can we remove this? First we need to understand that any AI powered, Google Bard or ChatGPT, is it a threat for our job? In my opinion, definitely not, because it is like this. Any habit we take it, either it can be master or a slave. Once I have a habit, without that I cannot survive. For example, I'm a smoker and I have the habit of smoking, and then that smoking as a habit is my master and I'm slave to that. The same way that if you look at that, ChatGPT is a master or a slave. In my opinion, he is my assistant, and I can use him. For example, I was just looking at, I was trying ChatGPT differently last few years. For the purpose of this, the whole, webinar itself, I was trying. And I was asking a lot of questions which really rationalize or, organize my mindset or my thoughts very well, actually. It filtered my thoughts in a very simple way. For example, I was asking about, what are all the 20 key core skill as a business analyst I should have. I just want to read out that, first is analytical mindset. Second one is communication skill. Third one is problem solving ability. Fourth one is business acumen. Fifth one is stakeholder management. Sixth one is technical aptitude. And seventh one is adaptability and learning mindset. Eighth one is documentation and reporting. Ninth one is collaboration and teamwork. 10th one is domain knowledge. It just like that, it spoke about it. So I'm just using it. But will ChatGPT have the personal judgment to do work? For example, my mother, cook a dish, and my wife cook a dish, but definitely the taste differ. Why? Because it definitely has their own passion, their own purpose, and their own experience or a competency is there inside them. So it definitely make a difference. And like this, yeah, Jared, you want to say something?
Sorry, it's funny, we're talking to some of my colleagues at IBA, and we were talking about ChatGPT and its usage in business analysis. And one of my colleagues said, it's like a junior business analyst. You will give it some of the, the recurring things, some of the easier things to do, but you're still going to check the work, because ChatGPT looks at all of the information it has, but it doesn't know what's right and what's wrong, right? It's going to make mistakes. It's going to take data from the internet. And of course, the old adage that everything on the internet is absolutely true doesn't work. And ChatGPT is going to use that information. It's a tool, but it is just a tool. We still have to use our soft skills, what one of my staff members, Susan, calls our essential skills, to really get the work done.
Great. Actually, Jared, I downgraded to intern, not even a junior business analyst.
Okay.
because it just take my command and control. I can only, I mean, as even a junior business analyst, in my opinion, he is a better thinker and I'm an action-oriented person as a better communicator. But ChatGPT is a more of a rule-based engine. And, I mean, if I set a wrong rule and it gives, garbage in and garbage out kind of things, actually, whatever the question I ask it. So I don't see much threat on that. But at the same time, you are terribly afraid of that, I mean, yeah, it organizes your thought and you can always use that. What are the top 10 things? And it is a great engine to use your daily work. But, I mean, if you have a productive habits in your mind and the way you want to differentiate yourself and you have your own unique talent, which you discovered and you position in the market, I mean, let 100 ChatGPT comes, no one can replace you. This is what even I asked the question, can ChatGPT replace the business analysis professional? It says that absolutely not. It says that, it will not have, I mean, ChatGPT does not have that personal judgment and it does not think about the ethical consideration. It cannot think about the integrity. It doesn't have any insights. It gives something, but it is a kind of a word where in which it doesn't have an interpretation capability and it doesn't have an intuition. As a human being, we have all the three. We have the integrity, we know what is best for us, and we also have an insight that means we can interpret it will give the dashboard and report. End of the day, interpretation matters. Then it also gives an intuition which comes from my experience or from your experience. That makes big difference. Then definitely we leverage that. He's a slave and leverage him and put him into so that you think, how do you minimize your 8 hours into 4 hours or 6 hours so that 2 hours you can spend with your family or your work-life balance, you can work on that so that you will use this fellow to minimize your work burden. This is what I say, that is the reason. Use it as your personal assistance, or you think that you hire an intern for free intern, you are hiring him, and whatever your daily work, just to go to him and ask and he'll give. But that is not the starting, I mean, that is just a starting point. After that, your integrity and your insight and your intuition matters. That's where you can differentiate yourself in your career choice. Okay, thank you. And
we've only got 15 minutes left.
Yes, next. This is that, I mean, I think he is the right person to talk about the business analysis ecosystem. Jared, over to you.
So the business analysis ecosystem is incredibly important. And it's interesting, over the last few years at IIBA, I've come to realize that being responsible for our chapters and our members, it's great to have really, strong chapters, but we don't have strong chapters unless we have strong business analysis professionals. We don't have strong business analysis professionals unless we have strong organizations and strong education providers and strong academic institutions. It's only when all 5 of these are working together that we really elevate the profession in a particular community, right? So when we have strong chapters and program members and training providers, the opportunities for the business analysis professionals just is elevated exponentially. So it's only when all of those working together. It's interesting. One of my colleagues said, that uses the analogy, that a rising tide floats all boats, and that's exactly it, right? It's only when we work together do we really see the profession elevated. Swami, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, actually the chapters, I'm just getting up from the chapter is the connection point. If you look at an Indian context, anything like they are looking for, like, anywhere in my experience of last 7-8 years as a volunteer and as part of IABA, all the time that, chapters and volunteers make the big difference when it comes to the connections of, because that's where the first starting point for any aspiring business analyst or a current business analyst looking for a designation of any certifications, they look at chapter for the support. So chapter becomes a core, and volunteering and board members becomes a part of that. Thereby, what really happens is that, just by becoming, I myself becoming a volunteer and a board member, I could able to access all the academic institution. I could able to access the corporate. I can also accept the community of business analysis professional, and I also could access the EPs of it. That really first and foremost beneficiary is myself as when I'm preparing my career for myself. These are all the 5 different partners. I could network with them, and then I could able to get that, that definitely define my career growth and support system. This is one thing which we need to build it, and we have to give back. To the end of the day, whatever we have to give back to the community, and the community of practice. How do we give back? Just to know whatever the best practices are lesson, if we can share, and the same thing helpful for the people to grow their career and advance their career faster. That is the best way we can able to helpful. This business analysis ecosystem and this IAB ecosystem definitely help to simplify your career choice, and you get connections, you get, of course, contact and connections. You also get perspectives and viewpoints, and you also get the thought leadership. These things will definitely change your perspectives or change your thought process, that in turn help you to focus and concentrate and understand your career strength, then that career growth, what are all the growth opportunities you will understand. And then you can continuously practice this. By practicing this and making it as part of your habit, definitely it makes sense for you for your career growth and support. So they could be part of that ecosystem. That is, yes. Yeah, this is something, I just want to talk about it. Just now I spoke, but I want you to not to take it up now. And I'm going to give you that, a promise that, I'm just giving this, and you can scan this and take this skills up. Yesterday, when I had a conversation with Jared, I was asking about that career center, and that career center, what really happened is it was that, in India, we could not immediately give that, but over a period of time, it will come to India. But I talked to, one of our knowledge partner, Institute of Product Leadership, and they have an app called Skills App. And they said that, if you have, question assessment, and you can definitely use this assessment, the platform to grow your community. So as a knowledge partner, he helped me without any cost. I thought that it will be a useful area. So this assessment will helpful for you. It's just a simple, I'm using it as a kind of a starting point. Probably we might use this for a technical. We should know our technical skill. We should also know our functional skill, and also we should also our behavioral one, and also leadership. Is all these 4 parts as a business analyst, how you grow as a leader, and while you are growing that, what kind of functional skill or a technical skill or a behavioral skill you need. These things really helpful, a psychometric test and all that. These assessment we might try after some time, but this is something we thought as a, you gave your Saturday morning. I thought I should give it back to you in terms of assessment.
So, and the assessment after we finish. We still got a couple more slides to go, so I'm going to skip over to the next slide.
Yes, that's all. Next we have to over to you, Jared.
All right. So, as part of the, what you're doing with your career, there's a number of things you can do. And all of these are, of course, part of, building those competencies, attending professional development conferences. Believe it or not, this is a professional development conference. So well done, right? You can register for instructor-led or online courses. Find a mentor, and that can be a formal mentor or a informal mentor, or mentor someone else, because it's interesting. The mentor-mentee relationship is not unidirectional. It's not the mentor that imparts their wisdom to the mentee. By teaching, the mentor also learns. So find a mentor or be a mentor, one of the two. Join an IBA chapter. Shameless plug, I know, but your chapter is a great opportunity for you to interact with other business analysis professionals, right? Work assignments to help develop your skills. Like I said before, with the vendor management group in my previous employment, it's a great opportunity. So, look at assignments that are going to help develop skills that you don't currently have the ability to do. It's a great thing to volunteer and to seek out new assignments that are going to push you, to learn continuously, because I think that's really, really important. And of course, visiting iib.org is always a good choice. All right, so I raced through that last one because I wanted to make sure we had some time for questions.
Yeah.
There was a question, I think, earlier in
Yeah, I will read the question. I'll read the question. What is the difference between business analysis versus product management? Or are not the skill overlapping? Magna is asking this question.
I think business analysis is everywhere. I think product management uses a lot of business analysis skills. So overlapping, absolutely. It's interesting. I always use the terminology that everyone does business analysis, whether you're, no matter what your title is, no matter what your role is. More and more, we're getting away from using the word business analyst and talking about business analysis professionals. And that's people that train and practice business analysis on a regular basis. So product management is still uses business analysis. Believe it or not, your C-level executives still use business analysis. It's the example I usually use is our president of our St. Louis chapter, business analysis professional, is a nurse. She's not in IT. She doesn't do projects in maybe the typical sense, but she does define the needs. She does recommend solutions that provide value. She does business analysis on a regular basis. So is there overlap? Absolutely. Product management. So a project has a defined start and a defined end. It has a certain life cycle, whereas a product is more of it's a different type of life cycle. It's the life cycle of a particular, well, in this case, a particular product, from not innovation, but creation all the way to replacement. But business analysis happens all along the way. Absolutely. So there is a subtle difference, which is why we have our new product ownership analysis certification, because there are some slightly different nuances there between what we typically do in a project and what we would do for a product. Hope that answered the question.
Yeah, yes. And then there is Badmesh Chari is asking that I'm currently working as a business analyst in a startup. If there are few tips you would give me to improve my skill, what are the things you would recommend?
There are a lot of tips I would give you. As I said, first thing I would do is look at the competency model and see where you could see where your gaps are, and then take steps to develop or fill in those gaps, if you will. I think the other thing you could do is, and I'm going to do another shameless plug, join a chapter, get a network of other business analysis professionals that are working, maybe not in your startup area, but they're tackling similar issues. A startup is simply an organization that hasn't met some of the doesn't have maybe the processes, maybe doesn't have the history, but I'm sure someone in your network has experienced similar issues. So I would also go there. The chapter is a great way to do that. Swami, what would you suggest?
Yeah, exactly. Join the community and understand the best practices and lessons, which will simplify your job. And getting started is the being part of the community, and not to worry, over a period of time, the community will take you and refine your skills. And the next question is, I'm Hinduja, having 10 years of banking professional, want to become a business analyst, please guide.
That's awesome. So again, I think the first thing that you need to do in becoming a business analyst is decide that you want to do business analysis, right? That once that decision is made, what are your next steps? I think reading the standard, understanding the standard terminology is a great first step. Understanding, the greater community, what's going on in the community, understanding some of the nuances. I would recommend becoming an IAB member. Again, I'm sorry about the shameless plug, but I would become an IAB member and then get a copy of the Babcock Guide, which gives you a little bit more detail than the standard. I would do that competency assessment. And it's interesting. We used to have a bank here in Canada that said if you want to stop paying high fees, then stop paying high fees. And it was a great ad campaign. And the similar thing is if you want to start doing business analysis, then start thinking like a business analysis professional. Start using that agile mindset. Start using a business analysis mindset to figure out why things are happening. Figure out what the true value is, what the true need is. And once you do that, I think you're on your way. Get yourself with some mentors. Get into a network of colleagues that can help you out.
Yeah, I have one more. Couple of questions. Can I take it, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
Rupak Saini is asking, how is business and data analysis associated as per you? Is it just a data analytics that BA needs to master, or are other data skill needed too?
I actually think that any skill that you can bring to the table is good in business analysis. Data analytics and being able to interpret visualizations or create visualizations is a great skill, but you also need to be able to articulate that a little bit deeper. I don't know of any skill that you could have that couldn't be beneficial to a business analysis career. I know in doing some of the data modeling and doing some of the entity relationship diagrams I've done in the past, certainly not necessarily data analytics, but those data skills have really helped me because I've been able to look at tables and schemas and whatnot and say, oh, so this is how this reacts to this data, and this is how a change in this data is going to make changes here. And in doing so, those skills have really helped me to understand and to articulate to my stakeholders what a change is going to mean for them. So data skills are not limited to just the analytics portion, in my mind.
Great. And, Manju Priya is asking a very, very interesting question. With that, I think we can close that. Sir, for any project team, collaboration is must. The problem I'm facing is my team maintains absolute silence for questions from BA, PO, or from the user. Every time I need to probe, calling out the names in target audience, how best I can encourage the team to respond to the questions asked in ceremonies of meetings.
Wow, that's a tough question. Is it I'm going to ask a context question because in my world, context is everything. Is it in a virtual environment or a physical environment?
Manju Priya, can you answer that? Is it a virtual or a physical environment? Virtual.
Because virtual is much more difficult to do so. I'm going to guess that cameras are probably off and people are distracted. I know IIBA is a completely virtual organization and have been since our inception 20 years ago. And we have a policy where our cameras must be on for all meetings. Don't care if you're in your pajamas, don't care if you combed your hair, you have to have your camera on at all times. And that's simply because without cameras, I could be attending a meeting, so to speak, but I could be doing my email, I could be writing a document, and so distracted. So that may be part of the reason why you're getting silence. At the end of the day, you're going to have to build relationships with these people to bring them out of their shells. Because if you're, eliciting requirements for something, or you're looking for information and they're not giving it to you, then that's a huge risk, right? Because they may not tell you that, if this happens, it'll be catastrophic. And because you didn't know that, you've gone down that road and you experienced a catastrophe. You have to draw them out of their shells, and it's tough. It's very tough. But you've got to use your what a friend of mine calls your BA mind tricks, and coerce them into giving you the answers. Sometimes you have to rephrase the question a multitude of different ways to get them to respond. Sometimes, I mean, if it's a large group, you may have to have smaller meetings, which are more direct, in which case people can't not necessarily hide, but they can't shy away from the questions. You might need to be more direct. It's something I think business analysis professionals around the world are experiencing in a virtual world, because it's a new paradigm for us, right? We're used to doing things face to face for the most part, and yeah, it's completely different. Swami?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And actually, I mean, Manju Priya, always whenever the meetings happen, no, you say that I assume, and whatever your assumption you put into that, probably the silence can be broken. That's one of my tips, one of the tips I tried, and fairly I successful. Like, whatever my assumption, they say that this is not true, then they come out to actual area. That way you can break the silence, but we'll have a detailed conversation. And the last and final question which I ask is how IABA is connected with academia and BA certification, and how does the IABA help institution in defining the BA modules, or does the institution come up with these self modules and get them approved from the IABA and all? But I'll definitely answer this question on the personal level. But to tell you, definitely, I mean, academic institutions are best, one of the important ecosystem partner. What Jared and myself, we are looking at is that we are creating something called Academia Connect, and start engaging with them without any, I mean, putting any kind of this thing. I mean, like you become a member and all, not like that. First, we get connected and help the community to understand where we need to start the journey. I'll be completing, we'll be doing it a kind of an Academia Connect every chapter, which we are working on. This is what I want to, and thank you very much for Jared. I mean, it is, it is a great feeling that, I mean, time, what is the time now? It is 11:30 or 12 now. I mean, you are reaching.
It's almost midnight, 20 minutes to midnight.
Thank you so
Swami,
much.
That's not so bad, but you had me up at 5 o'clock this morning for our first meeting.
I woke him up, and when before getting the sleep, that's the way your support system or IABA support system for engagements. Thank you so much, Jared. And thanks a lot for we'll be in touch with, and please get connected, join IABA community, join chapters, join as a volunteers, and join as a board members. That way we can build the best ecosystem in India. Thank you so much. Bye for now. And whatever the career quiz you attended, and you'll get a personalized report to you, and I'll be talking to each one of you in person. Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you. Same to you.